Hollywood makes it seem like people working together is always a thing. That is not really what happens. Every good movie is made because people trust each other, but because they do not always agree. Sometimes they even. That is what makes the movie good. Rob Reiner is a movie maker who is known for making people feel good when they watch his movies. He is very good at making movies that show how people should treat each other. Even he had times when people did not get along. Rob Reiner had times when people did not respect each other. They got very frustrated. These were not public fights. They were problems that happened between people who were working together on movies. Even though they were small, they changed the way people worked together on Rob Reiner movies forever. People often talk about the actors that Rob Reiner had a time working with. This is what happened with these actors, and why people still remember these problems today. Rob Reiner had issues with some actors, and these issues are still talked about in Hollywood. Number 1. Chevy Chase. The way Rob Reiner and his team work together on North is a warning about what happens when people let their ego get in the way. North was supposed to be a creative project, but it fell apart because of tension and control issues. Rob Reiner learned a lot from this experience with North. He found out that being talented is not enough if you cannot get along with people and trust them. North was a movie that needed everything to be just right, including the timing and the tone. Reiner started working on the film with his attention to rhythm and how the actors worked together. Things got tough on the set right from the beginning. When Chase showed up, people already knew about him. That made things even more tense. Of calming down, the atmosphere got worse. People started to question the direction of the film. They did not like the notes they were given. The scenes began to move because the people in charge were having trouble, and that was causing more problems rather than solving them. The film Reiner was making had trouble with authority. That was part of the issue. Number 2. Bill Murray. This was not about being mad at each other. They just had very different ideas about how things should be done. Reiner liked things to be organized and easy to understand, while Murray did his work when things were crazy, and he could just make things up as he went along. The fact that they did not get along said a lot. Sometimes the biggest problems are the ones that people do not talk about, and that is what happened with Reiner and Murray. They just knew that working together would not work out. Rob Reiner made movies that were all about what he wanted to say. He worked with actors to get the feel by practicing together and making sure everyone was on the same page emotionally. Rob Reiner used rhythm to make his film special. Bill Murray did things differently. He became a legend by doing the unexpected. Some of Bill Murray's moments came from just going with his gut feeling. Bill Murray did not always follow the plan. He did not always listen to the director. He did not always do what the script said. This made Bill Murray's movies really interesting. When you think about it, the talents of Murray and Reiner could have worked well together. In real life, they had very different ideas about how to make a movie. Murray liked to change scenes by doing what felt right in the moment. He would often show up on set without thinking much about the overall plan. This was a problem for Reiner, who needed everyone to work together and trust each other to make a film. Murray's way of doing things was just too unpredictable for Reiner. It could have messed up the whole movie. Number 3. Jack Nicholson. The movies they made together are really famous. The truth is they were very tired all the time. Nicholson was a personality, and he needed a lot of space, which sometimes made it hard for Reiner to be in charge as the director. They did respect each other. It was not always easy. The Nicholson and Reiner team made movies because they pushed each other, not because they always got along. The Nicholson and Reiner partnership was successful because of the tension between them, not because everything was okay all the time. A Few Good Men is a great movie, and it is one of the best things that Rob Reiner has done. The performance by Jack Nicholson in A Good Men is what people remember the most about the movie. Making A Few Good Men was not easy. Jack Nicholson came on set. He was in charge. He knew that he would make every scene in A Good Men better just by being in it. Sometimes the scenes in A Good Men would change because of how intense Jack Nicholson was, and that would make them more interesting. Reiner thought that balance was really important. He felt that the best scenes happen when you have a rhythm and you do not do too much. You also have to be working with the other people. When Reiner worked with Nicholson, they had to talk about these things all the time. Telling Nicholson what to do was not like giving an order, it was like having a conversation. There was always a tension between them, but it was not a bad thing. They were just trying to make sure the movie stayed real, and that Nicholson could do his thing. Reiner and Nicholson had to work to keep the movie from getting too crazy, while still letting Nicholson be great. Number 4, Kevin Costner. Costner was really in charge when his career was at its best. He liked to have control over the projects he worked on. This made it hard for Reiner to work with him. Reiner had a time dealing with Costner having so much power. They used to work together, but over time they started to drift apart. They did not say anything to each other, they just decided to go their ways. Costner and Reiner were no longer working together like they used to. Costner was still making movies. So was Reiner, but they were not making them together anymore. Kevin Costner became a big deal. He was not a famous actor, he was like a big magnet that drew people to him. When Kevin Costner met Rob Reiner, Kevin Costner had a lot of power as a star. He also had very strong ideas about the stories they were telling, the tone of the movies, and who should get credit for the work. A lot of directors liked that Kevin Costner was so confident. For Rob Reiner, it made things harder because Rob Reiner liked to work with people in a certain way, where everyone worked together as a team. Kevin Costner's strong ideas disrupted this balance that Rob Reiner liked. Reiner's process was all about trust. Trust had to be clear. It had to go in the right directions. He thought that the director's job was to keep everything on the emotional side. The actors would then bring this thing to life. Costner did things differently though. He did not just act. Costner liked to get involved in the story and the decisions that were made about the story. Reiner's process and Costner's way of doing things were not always the same. Number 5, Tom Cruise. These two men were very careful and disciplined. They did things in completely different ways. Tom Cruise was extremely intense all the time, which did not go well with Rob Reiner's approach of being more calm and subtle. Tom Cruise and Rob Reiner never saw things the way. The problem between Tom Cruise and Rob Reiner was not because they did not like each other, it was because they had ideas about how to do things. This shows that people can have ways of trying to be the best, and sometimes these ways can push people apart instead of bringing Tom Cruise and Rob Reiner together. Tom Cruise built his career on being in the moment. He prepared a lot. He was completely committed to what he did. Every single moment that Tom Cruise was on screen was carefully planned out using precision and control over his body. Rob Reiner, on the hand, was just as demanding, but he did things a bit differently. Rob Reiner started with what was going on inside the character. He liked it when things were calm and quiet. Tom Cruise and Rob Reiner both valued things. Tom Cruise liked to be totally in control, but Rob Reiner liked it when things were subtle and not too obvious. The idea of them working together seemed good on paper. These two professionals really cared about doing a job. When they actually started working together, it was clear that they did things very differently. Tom Cruise had a lot of energy, wanted to keep the scenes moving quickly all the time. On the hand, Rob Reiner liked to slow things down and have some quiet moments. Tom Cruise thought that keeping things moving was important. Rob Reiner thought that it was getting out of balance. Tom Cruise and Rob Reiner had ideas about what made a scene good. Number 6, Sean Penn. Penn and Reiner had different ideas about acting. Penn's emotions were over the place. He was very emotional. This showed in the way he acted. On the hand, Reiner was very controlled. He liked to focus on the actor and make sure they were doing a job. The problem between Penn and Reiner was about how they should go with their performances. They did not agree on when a performance was too much and started to disrupt the rhythm of the story. This disagreement between Penn and Reiner made people think about a question. The question was about how much freedom actors should have when they are telling a story. It was also about how structured they should have. Penn and Reiner did not agree on this. Neither of them was willing to change their mind about Penn and Reiner and their ideas on freedom and structure in storytelling. Sean Penn is known for being very intense. His acting is in-your-face real. Sometimes it makes you feel uneasy. He thinks that when things get tough, that is when you find out what is really going on. Sean Penn likes to push things to the limit. On the hand, Rob Reiner has a different way of doing things. Rob Reiner thinks that the truth comes out when everything is balanced and calm. He likes scenes that have a flow, make sense, and help tell the story, not just focus on one moment. Sean Penn and Rob Reiner have ideas about what makes good acting. When the ideas of these two people met, they did not get a long way. Reiner liked actors who stayed within emotional boundaries when they performed. Penn often went outside those boundaries, taking scenes further than they were supposed to go. What Penn saw as being committed to the role, Reiner sometimes saw as being disruptive to the whole thing. Number 7. Gene Hackman. Hackman did not like being told what to do. This made Reiner uncomfortable. Reiner liked working with people and listening to their ideas. Hackman and Reiner had a disagreement. It was not that Hackman did not respect Reiner. The problem was that Hackman and Reiner had ideas about making movies. Hackman learned how to make movies a time ago, and Reiner had a more modern approach. These two different ways of thinking about filmmaking made it hard for them to work together. Gene Hackman was from a time when movie directors were not really liked, they were just tolerated. Gene Hackman went with what he felt was right than what he was told to do. Once Gene Hackman thought he knew what to do in a scene, he did not like to be told what to do. This caused problems when Gene Hackman worked with Rob Reiner, because Rob Reiner liked to talk things over and make sure everyone was on the page. Reiner thought that direction was not about being in control, about having a conversation. Hackman, who was very experienced and confident, usually thought that this approach was not needed and was actually getting in the way. The tension between them was always there. It never got so bad that they had a big fight. At the time, it never really went away either. They were still able to film scenes, and the actors were able to do their jobs, but something important was missing. They just could not seem to be on the page to have that shared understanding that direction and actors need to make a scene really work. Number 8. Dustin Hoffman. Hoffman was really into doing things away, and this got to the people around him. For Reiner, this way of working became very tiring of helpful. The things they made could be really good. The process was hard to keep up with. Great things came out of it. Hoffman and the people he worked with got really tired and felt like they were not being creative anymore. Dustin Hoffman was really good at becoming the characters he played. He would often do things that made it hard to tell if he was just preparing for a role or if he was really going through something. Dustin Hoffman thought that being uncomfortable helped him get to the truth. He believed that pushing himself and the people around him was necessary to make something feel real. Rob Reiner did not think that was always a good idea. He liked it when things were intense, only if it helped the movie feel right. If it did not help the movie, it was much. When Dustin Hoffman worked on a set, things could get really slow. They would do a scene over and over. They would talk about the feelings in the scene until it did not feel natural anymore. The scenes would start to feel forced of feeling real. Dustin Hoffman's way of working could be time-consuming. Reiner really liked that people were committed to what they were doing. He felt like the atmosphere was getting really tough to be around. He liked to make things clear and easy to follow when he was directing, not confusing and exhausting. What Hoffman thought was people being really dedicated, Reiner thought was actually wearing people out, making them lose trust in each other, and in the creative process of making something new. Number 9. Al Pacino. Al Pacino's acting style is really strong. It comes across on stage. Rob Reiner likes to keep things real. They have ideas about how to make a scene work. This makes the scenes feel tense. It is not because they do not like each other. They respect each other. They just do not work well together. Al Pacino and Rob Reiner are both great at what they do. Sometimes they just tell stories in different ways, and that can be hard to combine. Al Pacino did things his way when it came to acting. He liked to express himself. This is because he came from a theater background. He thought that acting was all about being loud and clear and having a rhythm. He wanted to make the people in the room feel something. Al Pacino and Rob Reiner were different. Rob Reiner did not like to be too obvious. He thought that the camera could pick up on things. Rob Reiner believed that sometimes what people do not say is more important than what they do say. When the actors' instincts came together, the scenes went in directions. Al Pacino was in the scenes. He took up a lot of space. The moments in the movie became bigger and clearer, had more power. The director, Rob Reiner, saw what was happening and tried to balance things out. He wanted to slow things down, have some moments, and make the movie feel more real. The movie had Al Pacino in it. He was very good at what he did, so the scenes with him were very strong. Number 10, Mel Gibson. Before all the public problems changed the way people saw him, Gibson and Reiner did not get along. They had personalities and ways of thinking about things. This difference was not about the kind of work they did, but also about what they believed in. For Reiner, who liked to make things that showed he cared about people and was fair, the difference between him and Gibson was very basic, could not be changed. Gibson and Reiner had different views, and this caused a big problem between them. Mel Gibson likes to tell stories that about facing problems head-on. When he acts, he likes to be very sure of what's right and wrong, and he gets very intense and emotional. He does not hold back when he is acting. Rob Reiner is different from Mel Gibson. Rob Reiner likes to make movies that not always clear-cut. His movies often have stories where people can understand each other and work things out, and being complicated is more important than being in charge. When the way Reiner and Gibson thought about things did not match, it became clear quickly. Reiner believed that people should work together because they share the ideas, not just because they are good at their jobs. Gibson, on the hand, thought that things should be a certain way, and he liked to make his characters strong by being forceful, rather than by thinking deeply about them. Reiner valued collaboration, working together with people who have the same values as him. Gibson's way of doing things was different. He liked to use force to shape his characters than taking the time to think about what they should be like. The problem was not that the people were not good at what they did or that they did not work hard. The problem was that they were not going in the direction. Reiner thought that the tone of a movie was a deal, that it was the job of the people who made movies to help the people who watch them understand things, like how people should treat each other, who has power, and what happens when you do things. Gibson did things in a different way.